this is when you've lost Ben Shapiro, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the Ben Shapiro. Look at the title. This is giving you an example of how all over the map. This is one of the people that Megyn Kelly was saying was complaining earlier, and it was driving her nuts. Both of them. What the hell happened on Liberation Day? Watch this. It's going to be shocking. Mr. The guy who I guess does all of the shopping for Tucker Carlson.
I like wood.
So is Ben, and he plays this first. He plays the clip, I think. And he talks about the thing.
And we're going to take care of our people first.
Okay, so he's actually making a separate case here, which is that people should pay their own way when it comes to their welfare and defense spending. Totally agree. 100%. That is absolutely true. Also, that has literally nothing to do with what the president of the United States did yesterday. It seems to be predicated. His giant tariff policy that he just dropped on the market unilaterally, probably unconstitutionally yesterday. And I'll get to that in a moment.
Yeah, see there, and you know what? Here's the thing. I don't know which part to enjoy more. The part where, like, these folks are finally coming around to admitting that we were right all last fucking year when we were saying, yeah, he's gonna do it. He's a fucking moron. He thinks it's gonna work. He's really being serious, and it ain't gonna work. It's gonna be shit. And we were all telling you, and you're all like, what? It's a negotiating tactic. It's not going to hurt anything. You guys. And now they're all like, oh, fuck. What the shit? Yeah.
Predicated on a few false notions.
Oh, and the other thing is like watching the attacks that they get from their own side. That would be the I don't know which I like better. Watching them come around or watching their own just eat their face.
The American economy. One is that the American economy has been a giant fail for the last 40 years. That is simply not true. This is a myth that is propagated by both parties. And I know.
No, it's not. No. Democrats saying that there is income inequality is not the same thing as saying that the economy as a whole is a total fucking fail. And certainly not anywhere near the scale of what fucking Bill O'Reilly and Trump are talking about. Not even close. Stop it. Fuck off. No, we were having wage growth under Biden. We had near full employment. Like, no. There was work to be done, but we weren't operating under the pretense that it would be better off if we were all fucking living like Amish people or people in the village.
Fun myth. It's something people like to believe, is that yesterday was economically better than today. And then you look at all the stuff around you, and you look at the phone in your pocket, and you look at the computer before you, you look at the internet, you look at the fact you can literally order any product.
It's nice to know that Ben's been watching my show, although apparently on a delay of about 9 months.
Anytime from anywhere on earth, and it arrives at your...
And a year and a half, and 2 years, and almost 3 years.
In 2 days at a price you can afford, and you think to yourself, would I rather live in 1980 when the only person with a cell phone was Gordon Gekko on a beach holding a shoebox to his head, when central air conditioning was kind of a rarity?
Yes, Trump does. Do you understand? He's that Gordon Gekko. What he means is that he's the only he thinks life was better when he was the only person who could afford a fucking cell phone. Do you understand? Where it was a rarity and it meant you were special if you had it. Now everybody's got fucking air conditioning and a flat screen TV or whatever. So it's harder to brag. I got to start, making something useful for the world. And that's a pain in the ass.
When the cars, if you were lucky, had electric windows. Okay, was that like better? Were things better? Just on an economic level. Forget about everything else. You can make a case about the spiritual level. You can make a case about the dissolution of the family. I agree with many of those cases. But we are talking here about economics. We're not talking about the life of the spirit within. We're talking about economics, which is the distribution of goods and services. So I need to start by showing you a few charts that show you that America, in fact, does not suck and has not sucked for several decades economically.
Yeah. And you know when it especially didn't suck? During Clinton, during Obama, and during Biden. That's where all the major improvements that the middle class and the lower class felt, and where the expansion of goods and services actually fucking happened. And the accumulation of the debt, which is why Trump thinks he has to do all this stuff, happened under Republicans. It happened under Reagan, and then Bush 1. It happened under Bush 2 with the cost of the Iraq and the Afghanistan wars was $6 to $7 trillion. And then Trump in his one term adding a third more onto it. But every time a Democrat comes in, they clean the fucking place up. And there's improvements for average people. But it happens at a pace where people take it for fucking granted. And then you got the TYT crowd and the uncommitteds and those motherfuckers going, this is my chance to make my move. And then they fuck it up for everybody and let Trump or Bush or one of these assholes get in because it's a coin toss anyways. It's the lesser two evils. Who fucking cares?
Because this is a myth that all politicians like to tell. Hey, number one.
No, not all politicians. No. No, because you'll notice there's a very distinct difference between the story that's being told. Even Bernie Sanders will say the American economy has grown and is and the available services and things are that people can have at a price point are great, but there is a huge inequality between the people who can afford the most and control the most, which is the concerning point. Not so much that they have this much, but they control this much, and everybody else. And if we could even that out, you'd have even more innovation. People could afford to start businesses, which would increase that growth and that kind of stuff. That's very different from Republicans saying, all these fucking freeloaders are stealing my shit. Here in Arkansas, where we take more from the federal government than and California pays for our lifestyle.
There is this notion that American deindustrialization has been happening. That America has been hollowed out by deindustrialization, that we are not actually manufacturing anymore in this country. That is not true. It is not true. In the mid-90s, the United States was producing.
That's the Bureau of Labor Economic Analyst. Yeah, the Bureau of Labor Statistics has a similar one, a chart just like this. 2.3. Hey, I remembered it right on. I said 2.4. I was close. If I had to find it, I remembered the 2.37, and that's why I thought it was 2.7. My bad.
Real manufacturing value added. In 1997, we were producing $1.4 trillion. In 2025, we were producing $2.4 trillion. And it is an arithmetic increase. You can see the line on this chart. We are manufacturing more. Why aren't there more manufacturing jobs? The answer is technology. We are manufacturing more because we have better robots. And they are doing much of the work that people seem to have a very warm and fuzzy feeling about, but that they would never want to do themselves. I notice a lot of people, why can't I have a factory job just like 1955?
Okay, nobody says that to him. This is him just pulling shit.
Or some. Yes, I'm sure that you want it to be in a non-air conditioned factory, riveting all day. That just sounds like you. That's most Americans. That's your ideal job. No, it isn't. It isn't. Just like working in a coal mine isn't your ideal job either. Hey, here.
You're right. He does sound like Bart Simpson. Like you notch it down like just a touch, and that's it. It's over. He's Bart Simpson.
Chart. We've been told the lie that the American middle class has been hollowed out by international trade. Here's what actually happened to the American middle class over the course of the last several decades. The American middle class stayed approximately the same size, shrank a little bit. Why did it shrink? Why did it shrink? Not because people became lower middle class or poor, but because a huge number of Americans went into the upper middle class.
Right.
The number one change in the...
This is all true. And it's so fucking weird. This is like... I was saying this, and I caught shit for saying this last year. You'll recall, chat room, I brought up a bunch of this shit, and as part of the reason to push back on this whole, like, we're being treated so unfairly. We have this, this unfair trade advantage. We buy way more from them than they buy from us and all that horse shit. And I was like, yeah, because we're rich compared to everybody else. Even poor people in this country are doing better than 90% of the people on Earth. They have access to resources and just calories in general. The ability to just stay alive until you get your shit together is more possible here than almost any other place on the fucking Earth. That's why you keep making it better. That's why it requires constant gardening to keep it that way, and why you try to expand the availability of the best of America to the most people possible, which is the entirety of like the Biden message when he got elected, and that's what he was pushing, and that's why he won initially. That was really what, like, he wasn't bottom up and middle out. That's what he was trying to do: expand the middle class and move people from the bottom into the middle class, so that if we do have a class of poor, it is a transient small number likened to our unemployment numbers, right? You should think of like the poor in a country should really be in line with how many unemployed people you have, because there's a lot of reason to be unemployed and not all of them are somebody else's fault, right? And you can give people opportunities, ways to find a job if they're having difficulty, but if they're just an asshole, they're just an asshole, and that's up to them, right? In the same way that you can be rich and your parents can disown you and suddenly you can go from being in a billionaire family to disowned and broke, right? That's possible because you're a prick. It has nothing to do with the financial stability of the fucking country, because your parents kicked you out because you're an asshole. You understand? So I think the goal should be that our poverty number should be in line with our unemployment number, and we should try to lower that as much as possible um, until they overtake. There should be a point where you can afford to not work for a while and still have money. So you should be able to be unemployed for a longer period of time with savings and other opportunities and other resources, unemployment insurance and the like, so that you don't end up being poor, whether you're making money at that time or not, for a longer period of time. So you create a broader safety net so that people can get back to productivity, or God forbid, just stay home, raise a child for a period of time before they get back into business. And so that period of going from lost job to broke isn't a cliff. That's what you should work towards. And the only reason we have the ability to do that is because we're an economic powerhouse. And that's what Trump is trying to stop. He doesn't want Eric and Don to have to compete with you motherfuckers. If you had every opportunity they had, we'd never even know their fucking names. And again, I am not one of these people, and I'll end on this. I am not one of these people that believes that that somebody who's born into a family of privilege, or their family is rich and therefore they got special things. They got to go to a special school, or they got extra leisure time or whatever, access to an encyclopedia when the other kids didn't have one, whatever. Because that's the purpose of your life when you're raising kids. You try to better your life so you can provide more for your kids, so they are better prepared for a more prosperous life than you were. You want more for them. So you build up whatever fortunes you possibly can, in large part so that your kids don't have to spend all of their energy on the drudgery of life, and they can focus on moving forward. That's where and blue collar people did this all the time. You'd strive your ass off so you could send your kid to college, right? And somebody could equally go, you're only here because you were lucky enough to have parents that would work their fucking ass off so that you could go to college. Like, that's an absurdity. Same thing is true of like wealth built over time, right? I don't think children are like accidental to their parents and they get this, that the privilege that they got comes from nowhere. It comes from their parents knowing that life is hard, takes a lot of money, or it takes a lot of effort, and you've got to struggle in a lot of places, especially at the mid-century. And so they worked very hard to create a bubble around their kids so that they could at least extract themselves from the drudgery of life. That's the whole fucking purpose. It always has been. The only time it can be held against you, I think, if you're born into a rich family and you go to rich schools and stuff, and Jesus, if I'd have been able to go to Yale for acting, my career would have started 10 years earlier, and I wouldn't be necessarily a different person, right? I would have, that would have been great, but it didn't happen, right? I had to hump it, whatever. But I don't have a grudge against those kids that had that extra stuff. I mean, it would have been nice to have it myself. But the only time I think those people of privilege should really catch shit is when they piss it away. Your parents work hard, they build a nest egg, or your grandparents, and they make sure that your parents don't fuck it up. And then your parents work hard to maintain it, make sure it's there so that you can continue. So they're trying to protect their progeny and their their companies, whatever they want to make, totally fine. But when they hand it over to you and you fucking like bankrupt the fucking thing with your whimsical bullshit about having a casino named the Taj Mahal, then you catch shit. Then it's open fucking season. Because you had every chance to turn it into something real. You were born on third base. If you can't hit a homer, it's no one else's fucking fault. I don't want to hear it about fucking welfare families. I don't want to hear about regulations. I don't want to hear about, well, if only the banks and blah. No, fuck you. If you're born on third base and you recognize you were born on third base, then you should say, my only goal is to get home. And I'm not going to fuck it up because I'm 3/4 of the way there. And I'm not going to bitch about life at all because plenty of people were born in the middle of a pop fly. And that's yet another reason why I do not have Trump derangement syndrome. I just fucking hate the guy because he's a pathetic excuse for a human being. He is Russell Brand and Bernie Madoff and the Enron guys and Jeffrey Epstein all rolled into one. Now, his political shit is a good enough reason to not like him. Disagreement on his policies, think they're shit or whatever. But I don't even need to go there. He's already fucking awful from the jump. He was born a piece of shit, and he got a head start on being a scumbag by his own behavior. His parents didn't teach him to be an adjudicated rapist. They didn't teach him to like manhandle women. He came up with that on his own. He found a way to get his needs met, just like BTK and Ted Bundy and Bill Cosby and Jeffrey Epstein. Same shit. You're talking about the Enron guys today? Yeah, Alyosha, I don't doubt it because it's kind of a perfect topic for some of the Wall Street shit that's going on. Yes, that is one of the good parts, Peter. I agree. Trump will never be happy. And that's, I guess, the only silver lining? Okay, anyways, I got to go. You take care of yourselves. I got to prep for tomorrow for radio with my dear friend Johnny Million. I've got to build a screen because I'm going to try that guest plan that I have to try and get so that I can be on Substack and use Ecamm as a guest. Oh, God. It's going to be so complicated. And then I won't know if it'll work until the last minute. I think it will. It should work, but it's always something. Okay. Anyways, love you guys. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. And I will see you come the morn for House Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, 9 a.m. Pacific time. And in the meantime, what do we end on? This is the quote that's been in my head for the last fucking 5 days.
Did IQs just drop sharply while I was away?
I gotta say there is a whole lot of what I will say is I feel like we're back at the beginning of a bit at the back at the beginning of sort of like the COVID. How's this going to go? And what I'm telling you guys is that it's not gonna. They're not going to pull this plane out, out of the dive before Monday. And they're not certainly, and Trump is committed to this at least through Tuesday and the following days. They're the 5th, the 7th, and now I'm hearing the date, the 9th, for these other ones to go into place. They have to go into place. Otherwise, like his ego won't let him call it off. And neither will Howard Lutnick, I guess. So we'll see. What I do know is that if we help each other and we focus on the state legislatures and don't fuck around with this third-party nonsense next time, maybe, just maybe, we could stage a comeback in a way that will salvage what's left of this and keep a lot of people from losing their jobs and their livelihoods. Or you TYT uncommitted motherfuckers can keep flipping a coin every 4 years and going, I don't know, does it really matter? I got mine. I can't live like that. Sorry. Maybe it's the comedian thing. It's hard for me to be happy when everybody else is miserable, so I spend my time trying to make people happier. Do my best. So, take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. I'll see you tomorrow. And hit the like, will you?